Pause for
Hello.
technical
There we go.
difficulties.
Now it's working. All right, now my audio is reading. All right, what's up, guys? Welcome into the K2J podcast. We're gonna get into some stuff today. We're gonna do our giveaway from last week. We're gonna get into food drive info, K2J kickoff. Scott Reek is gonna join us, and then Smitty's got a game for us to play tonight. So first things first, Ronnie, Smitty, how you guys doing tonight?
Doing good.
Doing good, buddy. Good to see you.
Yeah. All right, let's do this giveaway real quick. We have my screen is not showing right. Give me one more second. All right, so this is what we got. We've got 14 names. I'm gonna zoom this in just a little bit. And we're just gonna go to random.org and we're gonna pull a number, and whoever it is gets the prize from last week, which was the what? You had a disc, Smitty, and a hat, right?
The disc, yeah.
Sweet. 1 to 14, and generate, and we got 5. So that's gonna be Chase Boyd. So Chase Boyd is gonna be our winner. We'll get with Smitty on that, and we'll see what we can do to get that to you.
I think Smitty knows how to get it to coach.
There we go.
I've seen him.
All right, food drive info. What do you guys got? What's our numbers from our first week? This is our first week of food drives this weekend.
Well, we started a little bit earlier this year. We started before Christmas. We are 6 food drives deep. Clearwater, Sharon, Dodge City, Jetmore, Inman, and Anthony have all had food drives. We've had 187 different rounds played, and we're already at $5,677. So just below 6,000 already. So
That's a good start.
pretty good chunk of change.
Our
On the way to 30K.
Yeah, our goal for the year was about 30K. So it's a really good start. Upcoming events, we've got. You got some, Dad?
Yeah.
No, I was going to say I had a good time. I played a food drive on Saturday. Went to Inman.
Yeah.
I think we had 83 players in Inman, which was really cool. Playing in groups of 10. I'll be honest, that was the first time I've ever done that. But good time had by all, man. It was a good time.
That's a course you can definitely have 10 people in a cart on. Coming up, we got Colwich, Emporia, Mulvane, Miltonville, Concordia, and Manhattan. So
Correct.
Lots to look forward to. If you guys are able to, definitely go hit up a food drive. They're a lot of fun. So
Dates on those on KDGA website. I think pretty much all of those I've seen advertisements for.
moving on to KDGA kickoff. I know we got a little bit of an update on what's going on with that. There's been some news kind of about that's changing this year. So, Smitty, what do you got on that?
Well, the kickoff as it has been known for the last 10 years, the event that I've ran either at Newton or Oak Park is no longer. It's out of my hands, and it's been given over to any club that would like to run an event. We're going to use it as a KDJ membership drive with the name Kickoff, with some pretty cool perks. We think we thought long and hard about how we were going to do this, and basically there's 3 entry levels. You can pay the normal $30 KDJ fee and get all the swag and everything that comes with it. You can go $15 and just become a member and get a membership pin. We're going to have membership pins this year, and you will not get a shirt or a disc. On top of that, you'll still get the meals at all of the tournaments that we have those. Or if you're already a member, if you played the finals last year and got a membership, or you've already signed up this year, you can just show up to one of these events at any town, any KDJ member who wants to run one can run one. And we're just going to, our goal is to have all the swag and everything there and be able to pass that out before the event even starts, or the season even starts, without having to chase everybody down all year. And Ronnie, do you know what the kickbacks to the clubs are, or you want me to cover that?
You cut out for a second. What'd you say?
Do you want me to talk about the kickbacks to the clubs for the kickoff, or do you want to talk about it?
I can reach out. I can do it. Team members coming back as a course improvement fund, or if you have more than that, the KDGA is going to kick you $100 worth course improvements. So, if you're one of those groups. Let's get as many signed up as you can, so we can send some of that cash you guys' way and take care of some course improvements at the local clubs.
What do they need to do to set one of these events up? What do the clubs need to do? Just get a hold of.
Ask. Yep. Just send myself or any of the KJ guys a message. Any of them can get you on the schedule and work with you and get you going the right way. That would be me or Neufeld or Jason Brown, Craig, Leahy, Damon working team. Don't bother Mace because it'll never get done if you ask him, but he's one of the guys.
That's awesome. That'll be a nice little change up to get maybe hopefully a few more members signed up too. So
yeah, I think the biggest thing will just be getting all that gear passed out at the beginning and not having to put 10,000 miles on it all.
Yeah.
So I heard that question asked when I was in Inman on Saturday on the people who are already signed up. Hey man, when are we getting our stuff? So people are already itching to get it out. So that'll be a great opportunity for us to get that stuff out there. Yeah. So we're not. So you're not passing it all out at Beloit or the finals for folks who haven't got it since then. So that's I think it's going to be pretty beneficial for everybody.
Definitely. All right, are you guys ready to bring in Scott?
Yeah.
Let's get Scott in here. How's it going today, Scott? Thanks for joining us.
How you doing?
Good.
How are you doing?
Excellent.
Doing good.
Doing good, Reek. How are you?
I've been great.
So
well, I get.
Go ahead.
For people who don't know who Scott is, Scott, a long time ago, Scott was the mace man and Smitty of the KDGA, and then you decided to go Air Force? Is that correct?
Yep. In 2003, I ran the KDGA from about 97 to 2003.
Yeah. And then 2003, you left, and you pretty much told Mace and myself and Kyle the Man Klinger that we were gonna take it over, and we didn't see you for a few years.
No, yeah. Then I was in the Air Force, and then I moved to Wisconsin when I got out of there, and then I moved to Kansas City in 2011. So
most people don't know, Scott. Maybe your most distinguished accomplishment ever was playing national doubles with me in Texas about 2001 or so.
Yeah. Me and Smitty played doubles too, and yeah, that was a long time ago.
It seems like a lifetime ago, don't it?
It does.
If you guys in the comments have any questions at any time for Scott, go ahead and throw them in there. One of the things we have I see is when and where is your next course design? And when did you start doing course design? Some stuff like that. Just fill us in on that.
I mean, I don't know when I started, maybe about 10 years ago. Just when you run enough tournaments or you're involved in enough and you work with enough municipalities, eventually things just start kind of going your way and you start having those conversations and you start, picking directors' minds and things just kind of work out. So probably about 10 years ago that I got this, 2012, I started with Heritage Park in Olathe, Kansas. And I just was at a meeting with the Parks Department. His son was at a tournament. I met with him just to kind of give him the report of the tournament. And they asked, where do you live? I told them. They're like, really close to Heritage Park? I go, yep, right across the street. He goes, we've had approval for 10 years to put that course in. Within 48 hours, I had at least the layout drawn, out. And at that time, I really didn't know. And like the official part, I mean, I played a couple hundred tournaments by then and very involved, but I hadn't thought of it from a tournament or a course design aspect. And so I did that. And it took me 4 years because knowing that it was going to be one of my first bigger ones, I just nitpicked the heck out of it and had dozens of people come and look at it. And even to this day, I just was out there yesterday. There's four holes that I've decided just aren't right yet. So anyway, since then, I've got about 7 or 8 under my belt. I'm currently working on a new course in DeSoto at Lexington Lake Park, which is a 9-hole course with an 18-hole configuration. So you go around not once playing one set of everything, and then you go around again, you play another set. But the big project that I'm working on is Shawnee Mission Park. I'm doing the full redesign for Shawnee Mission Park. So for those who have been familiar, Shawnee Mission Park in Shawnee, Kansas has been around for over 20 years. It's a big staple in Kansas City. And that one is basically taking on a full redesign, like as if you pulled it out of the ground and then I started all over from scratch. That will be a pretty cool concept, though. It's going to be a 36-hole course with 4 loops of 9. So where the current course starts, there will be 4 hole 1s, and it'll basically with 4 loops of 9 will give you 6 configurations of 18 to be able to play, from 2 really long courses to about a 325-foot course to around a junior course like a 200-foot layout. But it'll give a lot of configuration, a lot of changes, utilizing the trees. A lot of trees have been taken out in that course over the years, and just due to Mother Nature and beetles and stuff like that. So yeah, that's probably when I get done with DeSoto, which will be this year, Shawnee Mission will start, and that's about a 3-year project to work on that. So, and then I got another one in Edgerton on a winery, on a vineyard. That'll be a private course. Pretty excited about that one. That actually plays through the vineyard. So during the summer, I think they're going to lose a lot of money because literally when you're walking through, there's huge vines of grapes. So I just fully picture people taking grapes with them while they're playing on the round. So, but that's what I currently have. I've got 2 other ones that aren't official yet, but they're in the works that I think will happen. But the Shawnee Mission's the next bigger one that I think people will recognize and be aware of. So
Sounds busy. Sounds very busy.
Scott, from a course designer's perspective, um, tell me your thoughts on doing something like that, where you got 9-hole configurations as opposed to trying to put 18 where it may not fit or something like that. Because I notice a lot. I think there's a lot of maybe some mistakes made there where people try to put 18 where they probably shouldn't, where they don't have room and they're not able to build the course they maybe could if they only put 9 or say 12 holes. What are your thoughts on that kind of stuff?
Well, I mean, I think safety first. So a lot of times what I find is when a course comes in, I went and looked at a property earlier this year where they were on about a 15-acre property. For those who don't know, when I look at it, for the most part, I can about an acre a hole. A square acre is about 325 feet. So depending on how that flows, an acre hole, give or take. I mean, it definitely varies depending on what else is in, but like on that 15-acre property, they had a creek that ran right down the middle of it. There was a huge playground right in the middle of it. And it was probably the whole park was like 300 feet wide. So to go through that 15 acres, not only have a creek going down the middle, but I also had a playground going down the middle. And the park kind of questioned many times, well, why can't I put 18 in? And I just basically told them, well, I can, but they're all going to be 100-foot holes, and you're going to have 1,000-foot walk to get to the backside. So it really just depends on the area. On the one in DeSoto, the way I kind of looked at that was, it's actually only about 11 acres, but it's totally isolated. So I can't put 18 in there without making it extremely short. But on those 11 acres, I have 300- and 400-foot holes. And then the idea is I can have the one set of 9 pads, but then when I put the baskets in, I can totally change the layout. So instead of just having a short pad or a short pin and a long pin, I can make a full lefty route, a righty route. I can make it so when you go to the pad, there are 2 totally different shots. And that's probably my preference is if you don't have enough land, make 9 holes and then just try to configure the shots so they're different. Even if it's a 9-hole, open field, I think you can, or maybe not open field, but a lot less trees. This specific one in DeSoto is pretty heavily wooded. So it gives me the ability to really carve lines. But if it is open, I think you just change your shots. I think you're better to put multiple baskets in a shorter location and make 9 holes than it is to try to squeeze 18 holes that is either just going to be really short or unsafe or not as fun.
Interesting. I was just wondering your thoughts on something like that.
Yeah, and every course designer, I mean, even Smitty, he might have different opinions or different ideas, but I think as long as they're safe, I don't necessarily think they're wrong.
Sure.
Safety is a big one. And I've seen too many courses where a tee pad is, 10 feet from the basket, as an example, just because it's kind of squeezed. Even going to Frontier, the original layout at, Hayes, some of those pads are right on the baskets, and they had more than enough room, to spread that out. But when they created it, that was just the way they did it. So,
well, you couldn't throw all the way to the pin when they created that baby. So
yep. I still
That
can't.
that well, yeah, most holes.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you. Even way back when you were in charge of the KDGA, it seemed like we always, and at one point, didn't you live in Topeka also?
Yep, I started it in Topeka. Well, I started in Hayes, and then I was in Topeka. I was in Topeka
Yeah.
when I joined the military.
Yeah. It seems like we've always had a really hard time getting people much farther east of Salina, maybe Manhattan at the farthest point. We've had a really hard time getting members east of that area, and a lot of times they say it's because of a lack of tournaments. But what do you think it would take to expand that way, KDJ wise, or is there a need to do that?
I just think you need to have somebody that is supportive of it and starts educating people about it. I think, I'm running this one in Bonner Springs, and the few people I've talked to think KDGA is an acronym like the PDGA because it says Super Sunday KDGA Flex Start, and I had like three people saying you misspelled PDGA, kind of stuff because they don't know. So I go, no, that's the Kansas Disc Golf Association, and well, what is that? So I think there's just some education in the Kansas City area, the KCK area. There's such a big market already. I mean, it's already its own world in there. So a lot of people, I just don't feel like those guys don't need to leave Kansas City to go out. But even from like me, when I look at going and I have the history and knowledge, I mean, it takes me an hour and a half to get to Emporia. It takes me 3 hours to get to Wichita, and so Wichita, which is the main one, is now you're starting to talk about just longer trips. And probably not for me because I travel, but I think for your everyday player, you just start to get further away. I think a lot of it's just educating people, and it's starting to get some events over here. I think the Bonner Springs is a good start. I haven't shared it with you, Smitty, yet, but I actually have it on my schedule. I'm trying to reach out to like Ottawa and seeing if maybe we can do a KDG event out at Ottawa. So we're kind of getting closer between Kansas City and Emporia. And I know I'd like to do a little bit more. I've been doing PDGA and stuff for so long that I've been trying to change my focus a little bit and trying to help a little bit more with the KDGA, which is again why I'm doing the food drive. So maybe even that's a start. Maybe we can start educating and over the next couple of years, even if there's just one more of this direction, people start to learn and identify the values of it. But I think it's just education. I just don't think people know.
Yeah, I think way back when, if Sundance wouldn't have ran a tournament in Ransom, probably what, 98, 99, somewhere in there. And all you guys invaded this town of 300 people. I mean, I remember Harvey Barger was there, and Ron Kahn came all the way from Oklahoma. And then,
I was there. I
yeah, I'm
played
sure
with
you
you.
were, probably so. And I think Sandman had just come off of a pretty solid finish at Advanced Worlds, and
Yeah.
you know that's what everybody's talking about. Sandman, that guy. Oh, this is his first pro tour, and I was like, whoa, that guy. So I mean, if it would have never come crossed my path there, I probably wouldn't have gotten
Yeah. When I
involved.
used to run them in Topeka, I mean, when I lived in Topeka, I ran an event there, and I feel like it was pretty well attended, Topeka, and we used to do like in Pomona and a few more up kind of up in those areas, and I feel like there was a little bit more presence towards that direction. Um, at least going up to Topeka, maybe not to the Kansas City. Not to say Kansas City can't be done. I just think it's harder because it's such its own world. But I'd like to be a part of that, and I think again, it's just educating people.
What was your initial involvement in the KDGA? I guess is what I want to know because as somebody who just kind of came around in the past probably 8 years in the KDGA, I don't know a lot about the history, the origination of it. So I'm kind of curious if you were around for some of that or kind of things like that.
Well, I started in '95. Probably about '96 is when I started with the KDGA. And at that time, Harvey Barger was pretty much spearheading everything. And he had run it for, I don't know, 5 or so years, maybe a little bit more than that at that point. And he was very old school. And even in the mid '90s, I was probably a little bit more technological, so there was things like he was still typing out newsletters and those kind of things like that. And I wanted to be involved. I knew almost as soon as I discovered disc golf, I knew I wanted to be involved. And so I reached out to Harvey and was like, hey, what can I do to help? And yeah, he's like, well, you want to take on the newsletter? So I did the newsletter, and then it just kind of gradually increased, or I took on roles. And then, like I said, a year or so later, I just asked Harvey, just like, would it be better? Would you like me to run this and take this over? And he was very, yeah, and he supported me for a few years while I learned it. But then I kind of transitioned and took over running it. And we created, Mace was, even Mace was there before I was as a supporter and a tournament director of like the Rock. And I always give a lot of credit that I learned a lot of what I initially started from not only Mace Man, but Dennis Valschultz. So those are the kind of the two that I give credit to learn to where I've gotten. And I remember just talking to them and creating new things. And at that time, the Kansas State Championships was what we have as the finals now. Beloit was just the Chautauqua, some name tournament, but it was kind of the same style what we have now, but it wasn't the state championships. And then we moved the state championships over to Beloit as more of a mid-season as part of the club, where we have the the food and the camping and the experience. And so with the help of Mace and different people, yeah, we just kind of transitioned and made those changes into the club. Me and Kyle Klinger, I'm totally blanked out for a second. Then we decided we need to create the website, and that was Kyle's skill set. And so me and him kind of spearheaded and created the kansasdiscgolf.com website from there. And then we needed a logo. I worked with a guy who created the logo for the Little Apple Open back in the late 90s, and we transitioned that logo to what we have as the Wheat logo now with the KDGA. So kind of just a lot of little things like that. It was really at a time when I think we were growing and kind of creating the Kansas Disc Golf Association identity, where prior to that, it was, no offense to those guys, but it was just the group of those guys who created the association, but it was fun for them. And it still was fun, but I think we kind of took it to the next step of being more official as an organization. And then after I left, Smitty and Brandon and then his crew, because even when I did it, I had the advice and helped people, but I pretty much did most everything still. I was still a one-man show. And then now that, when I handed it over, you guys created it into more of an organization, so to speak, with people helping. And I know that's taken years, even though I haven't been around for a lot of that. I still was watching and seeing how things were going. And I remember even visiting Smitty a couple times when I was passing through town and, kind of catching up and learning about things. So, but yeah, it's kind of how I got started and continued, or where my history with the KDGA is at.
Well, only us old guys know the fun of the KDGA forum.
Yeah. Yeah, the forum.
The hijinks that went on there.
Yep.
Facebook before Facebook.
Yep. And that was, at that time, it was the only way to let people know. And people don't appreciate, now when you look at tournaments and you go to Disc Golf Scene, and even now you could go to Disc Golf Scene and look at a big chunk of the year of tournaments, and people are already starting to get those registered. Prior to the website, you had to go to a tournament, look for a table that had a whole bunch of clipboards or little clippies. Yeah. Everybody had to bring their tournament registrations and put them on the table. And you walked around and grabbed all those sheets to figure out what your next tournaments were. And then maybe you mailed a check in, but more than likely you just showed up to the tournament. And it's crazy to think, because I don't remember once a tournament turning people away. I remember some big tournaments, but I don't remember. And I feel like, so makes me think they couldn't have ever really exceeded 90 people. Because
I was just going to say, did either of you guys ever remember a tournament filling back in the day? Like always, that wasn't a thing.
No, but it seemed like there was always a lot of people there. So I don't know how many that lot really was, but yeah, you just showed up. Maybe you mailed a check in. But I remember, when I was running tournaments, or I still run tournaments, but when I was running a lot of the KDGA events, yeah, I didn't get very many checks. People mailed things in. For the most part, it was on site. Yeah. But nobody thought anything of it. It was just the way it was, and it worked. now you got to register 6 months in advance.
Yeah.
I've already put out like $600 in entry fees this year.
Cool. Real game time.
Yeah. Do we want to
Do
ask?
it.
I think we have one more thing. Did we ask Scott what his favorite KDJ memory was?
No, we didn't. Let's hear it.
Oh yeah.
Man, my favorite KDGA memory.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't know if this is. I'll tell this story. So Smitty was talking about ransom. I'm pretty sure it was Smitty's first round in a PDGA tournament. I was playing with him, and he threw to the wrong basket at ransom. I remember that. So that's just always my memory of him. Probably one of my favorite things that I always enjoyed was we used to have a tournament in Stockton, and it was a while. It was Harvey called it. It was called like the Not the Prison Open. It was some weird name, but the baskets were makeshift, really crummy baskets, and it had such a different feel than a lot of other tournaments. And it was just a good time, and for some reason that one has always stuck out to me over the years. When I go back and look at the schedule, Stockton hasn't been running in many years, but I always remembered that one. So that one has always stuck out to me. So I would say the old Stockton tournaments, and it also Stockton combined a lot with, for a few years it changed, but it was a weekend where we went to Russell or we went to Beloit. So you kind of made a big weekend out of it. So yeah, I always enjoyed that.
I wonder if those baskets, so to say, are still in that park at Stockton.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been that way in a long time.
Yeah, they were bad.
Yep. And I grew up and went to high school in Phillipsburg. So, and I haven't even been back there. Like I haven't even seen that course that's there. But every time I think about going there, from here, I wouldn't necessarily have to go through Stockton, but I thought like I need to go out of my way and go check out
man.
Stockton. And but there's a lot of memories. I mean, back in those days, I always loved going to Norton. Mordecai always ran a good big tournament, even though it was kind of far away, especially from Topeka. I always just had a really good time. But actually, so it did occur to me, my biggest memory was, and I don't remember what year exactly it was. Let's see, my daughter's, it's probably 2001. Harvey Barger had a sister who lived in Key West and owned some resorts. And he offered that year as a sponsorship, any player that made I think it was like 45 tournaments that year. It was up there. Got a free all expense paid trip to go there. And me and Ron Converse were the only two that made it. But I remember for the Kobe tournament, this was, I was 21 years old at the time, I already had a kid and my wife was pregnant with kids. So finances weren't as good. And I got to Kobe. It's towards the end of the season. And I didn't think I was going to be able to afford to make it. And I can't remember his last name, John something, but he was from Kobe. And him and Kyle and them, and I feel like even Mace might have been involved. They all went out of their way. Like he came through, he lived in Kansas City. He came through Topeka, picked me up. They covered everything just so I didn't miss that tournament. So
John Schindler.
Yeah, Schindler. And then, so me, Ron and Harvey and our spouses all went to Key West for like 7 days. And that was probably one of my biggest memories. And then I think at the time I had like the record for the most consecutive, and I think I got to like 60 something KDGA events in a row.
That's incredible.
Yep. But that was at a time when,
I was playing a lot back in those days, but I wasn't playing. I wasn't playing that many.
But not only did I make that, I mean, I had to make all those ones that 1 year, but the year before that and the year after, I was also running a lot of those events.
Right.
So I kind of was forced. It wasn't like I was necessarily traveling just to play it. I was needed to be there, and so
And, Darren did say those baskets are still there in Stockton. So
yeah,
I've never played there.
Never even knew.
Well, you're missing out.
You just kind of like, what the heck are we doing here?
Did you ever, Ronnie? Did you ever play on the tire baskets at Pratt?
Oh yeah.
They're way better than what Stockton had.
I watched. There you go. There's a memory for you. I watched Converse one year ace that uphill hole to that tire basket. 3, a little shorty to play straight up the hill. That thing, you could like you could just envision from the tee. Of course, you can't see it because it's uphill, but you can just envision how many times that disc must have circled that tire before it finally stayed in that basket. Yeah, those haven't even been gone that long, I don't think.
Well, they're actually back in the ground, I do believe, in Greensburg.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? I think so. I think maybe you were telling me that. I might have to check that. I know they have a track in Greensburg.
Yeah, I think that's the baskets that are in there. I think Winkle saved them from the trash or something. I don't know. So
Wow.
Somebody mentioned the baskets at Clay Center. I don't know if you guys ever go through Clay Center or seen those baskets. I've never played on them, but I go to Clay Center a lot for work, and I've seen them, and they don't look good.
yep, somebody says they're in Greensburg. So yep, pretty cool. Let's
Ready
do
to
this
move on?
game.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
You got it, man. You run the show.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, there's 17 unique names on this trophy here. This is the Beloit Trophy. And you guys aren't going to be able to look at the chat and cheat. All right, you dirty dogs.
No cheaters in the chat.
Yeah, no cheaters. Well, they can do whatever they want. You guys can't cheat. And all I need you to name a player that you think is on there. And what do you think? 3 strikes, you're out?
Fair.
Yeah. All right.
And this is for the Beloit tournament or Beloit state championships trophy.
Yeah. Well, the actual trophy is the D&K Individual Frisbee Golf Tournament Champion Traveling Trophy.
Mm-hmm.
How far back does it go?
All the way back to 1991.
Okay.
So, Gerber, you're screwed. But
Yeah.
I don't think Gerber's going to do very well.
No, I can't get 17. No way.
You might. Well, you just got to name one. So what we'll do is on my computer they go Ronnie, Scott, Gerber. So we'll just go in that order. Ronnie will go first, and we'll see if we can eliminate somebody. And if Ronnie misses, he gets a strike, and
Save me some easy ones.
whoever strikes out last wins.
Fair. How about Jared Christ?
Jared Christ, yes. Last year. Scott?
Harvey Barger.
You got it.
Ron Kahn.
That would have been Ron Kahn. Only 7 times.
Yeah.
Ronnie?
Did you go? Chris Smith. Sorry, I didn't hear Gerber go.
Chris Smith has won it.
Bill Paulson.
You got it. That was a shocker to me.
See, I'm already struggling.
That was in 93 when Paulson won it.
I think. Is AJ Cruz on there?
That big-headed fool has never went to Beloit. Strike 1.
I'm gonna be the first one out.
I'm gonna. Do I take the obvious ones or I try to stab? How about Clint Donaldson?
First one. First name on the trophy. 91.
Voschultz, Dennis.
That would be incorrect, sir.
Oh,
Gerber, come on, dude.
I'm struggling today.
There's so many people that you have to know.
I know. I should know. Bottom on there, Darren. Dang it, dude.
Strike 2.
I'm getting out early.
Yeah, you are.
How about
Ronald?
Squared Kingpin Crispin Carrasco?
Yep. Two-time.
Oh my god.
Two-time winner.
what about Chad Garrison?
Uh-oh. Where'd Ronnie go? Lost.
That's one way. Yep, Garrison is on there. 2000. You lost
win.
Ronnie.
Oh,
Yep.
no, so I got one more.
Wiggins on there?
Wiggins is on there.
Yes. There we go. I'm back.
Is Ronnie gone?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to figure out where he went.
Crap. What about Rich?
Dave Richardson?
Yeah,
No chance in
I
hell.
didn't figure. He just was old. Thought maybe he was there before. It was a lot of really good players.
No, I'm telling you guys, there's a lot of really good players still on this list. Guys that you're gonna just be like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't
Already
get it.
there.
No, you're not.
Man.
Just think of good golfers in Kansas.
Is one of the Mosers on there? Is Adam on there?
Dude, no way.
No, come on.
McCabe.
Twice.
Oh, man. Dude.
Ronnie said his computer blew up.
Dang it.
McCabe is on there.
I've already got 3 strikes, right?
There's one from Salina, maybe the best disc golfer in Salina of all time.
Randy Brown.
Downtown Randy Brown. There's a couple from up in your neck of the woods there, Scotty boy.
Man, I'm trying to think in my neck of the woods who would have played. Bruce Hudson.
You got it. That's one of them.
Lazo take one down?
Nope.
That would have been a good guess, though.
Yeah, he's been close. There's another one. Oh, how baby's not on here.
Okay.
Nope.
Oh, I got one on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of his last name.
Is he a lawyer? Or is he maybe really, really slow? Maybe he's a flicker in a pretty modern era.
I don't know if I know that guy.
Guys give up. Oh, those three different.
Babbitt. Is Babbitt?
Babbitt, yes.
Oh. I try to think of his name. EMAC had a roommate that was really good, played a lot of tournaments.
Nate Martin?
Yeah.
Nope, never won it.
I think I'm out of guesses.
Here we go.
How many did we miss?
You're missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one of them I feel like you should get. One of them's on the board. I saw it, so I know you guys aren't peeking. Well, they're both 2 of them are. Nate Alton won it in 2020. Alan Wilson. Yeah, he didn't come the last time I was there.
That's Sloth?
Yeah. And I was shocked that you didn't get this one, Scott. Jazzy.
Yeah, Jeff.
Yep.
That's old school there. Yeah.
Dave Stubbs.
Matter of fact, Jeff won it when I ran it. Now that you just said that, when I ran it, Jeff won. It's like, God.
So we got Dave Stubbs, and then the only one that you didn't get, and this guy's. Oh, hey, Ronnie. So we got Dave Stubbs, and then the only one that didn't get. He's listening. This guy's.
You there?
Really?
I think I may have lost the.
Who was the last one?
I'm waiting for Ryan.
I think I may have lost the cooling fan on my laptop. Sorry, guys.
Ron Rice.
Oh, yeah.
92.
Okay.
You know, it's funny. So, like I said, I started playing around 95, and even at that point, I've seen Ron play more in the last couple of years than I ever remember him playing back then. He just ran haze. That's what I remember.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We got 12 out of 17.
I would have got all of these for the record.
No, I know. I was pretty bummed.
Because I know I would have got most of them.
I'm just disappointed by Jeff because I said I didn't even. That was in Wichita when it was still the finale state championship, and yeah, I didn't even think about it when I ran it.
I know because the reason I know most of them is because the T-shirt they had all the winners on the T-shirt. Either last year, was it last year or was it the year before?
Last year. And they had the disc with a stamp on it too.
Yeah.
Sure.
I know one
We're
name.
making a Masters championship now, so we can start a new trophy. least 3 of the four of us can.
Well, I'm down.
Smitty's moving up into the really old guys division this year, Scott.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You know, when I turned
Grandmasters.
40, I'm only 47, but I remember when I turned 45, my first thought was, now for the rest of my life, every 5 years there's a new division.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about that is people are always so excited. Oh yeah, 50s. It's the same dudes who've kicked your butt the whole
40s.
time are going to still kick your butt. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
What they
However-
don't realize is we're all getting older at the same speed.
Yeah. However, when you compare it to life, I remember when my wife turned 40, and she was so frustrated about turning 40, and I'm trying to sympathize with her and trying to, be a good husband. She's like, well, wait till you turn 40. I go, well, I turned 40 in July, and by then I'll have been happy for 7 months. And then now it's like I'm 3 years from 50, and I'm like, counting down. But you're right, it's the same people, all the same people. I mean, maybe there's a few years, like that people get ahead of me, but at some point they all catch up, and you're competing against the same people.
If I play Pro Worlds, I'll have to play against Johnny McRae, Brian Schweberger,
Yeah.
Patrick Brown,
Barry.
guy named Barry Schultz.
Yeah.
So,
well, this year I'm going to go play Pro Worlds this year, Masters, and some young buck from Minnesota named Kale LaVisca decided to turn 40 this year. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's tough.
And then some of those guys, if they would just, Avery, and they just haven't wanted to go that route yet. But if they ever did, it's a whole nother stack of people.
yep.
So
Yeah.
I just stayed in MA 40.
I may try it.
But, even in MA 40, it's like, I still can't beat anybody.
One thing we kind of skipped over at the beginning, we got the name for the show. Do we want to? Who came up with that name? We went with Oz Talk with the Wind Dummies. Do you know who came up with that one?
I don't know, but I know who the Wind Dummies are.
Yeah, so yeah, there was a bunch of people that had. So it was a bunch of variations that were suggested, and a lot of them it was the KDGA talk or Oz talk or Oz chat or something like that. So and I had suggested the Wind Dummies because it kind of fit all three of our personalities, right? We're none of the smartest people on the planet, so we kind of Smitty decided let's combine the two, and there we have it.
Yeah. And again, the winner on that giveaway, Chase Boyd. So if you weren't watching at the beginning, now you know who won the giveaway. The disc and the hat.
Next month's giveaway.
Next month's giveaway. What are we gonna do? What's the criteria? What do we need? Tag two people.
Yeah, I say the same thing, man. Like this thing and tag a couple people, and let's get as many people checking this out as we can. Next month, you give me a little preview for next month. We're gonna have the reigning KDGA champion as our special guest next month. Mr. Jordan Schaefer will be joining us.
Yep.
Awesome.
So, all right, boys. Well, I think that's it for me. Scott, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, anytime, guys.
Appreciate you coming, Scott.
Hopefully I'll see a few more of you more this year. So
Yeah, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Hopefully. So,
thanks, guys.
Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you again next month.
Later, fellas.
ciao.